Hello everyone, I'm just checking my hair out. It's so hot and I'm really sweating. My name is Maame from African Maame in Deutschland. Pardon me if I'm all sweaty, but I really wanted to shoot this video because we're going to talk about a topic that's really close to my heart, and that is the reason for financial stagnation amongst Africans abroad. So we're not only going to talk about the reasons, we're also going to talk about solutions. I'm going to give you solutions on how I applied that to my life as well, so that you have an idea of what you're doing and where you're going. So please, if you like this video, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and thank you for watching. So the first reason, I think, is the double focus. You know, most of us, we have families back home. We came with different ideas and perceptions about how we want to live our lives. Or what we want to do by coming abroad. Now, with the double focus, I'm not talking about when you have a family back home or you have relatives that you need to take care of. No, I'm talking about where we see ourselves in 5 years. You have someone's like, oh, okay, I'm doing a 9-to-5 job, and if I had a business in Ghana and that can blow up and then can make me money, I would do that. So they're not really investing here, but they're not also investing back home because their minds are in two places. And the Bible talks about people who are double focused. If you decide that you want to live abroad, then you have to focus on that. You know, the best solution for this double focus, I think, is to be able to write down where you think you want to be in 5 years time, where you want to be in 10 years time. If you want to do a business back home, you have to write down, yes, you might not know the kind of business that you want to do now, but you have an idea. Okay, I have this interest in poultry farming, and I would like the poultry farming maybe to be able to sustain, or whatever business I do, I would like it to be able to sustain my family back home, or I like it to sustain my family here abroad. I would like to do this, I would like to do that. Write it down. So the double focus is not like, oh, I really don't know. No, you know exactly where you want to be in 5 years, then you can work towards it. You know where you want to be in the next 10 years. Yes, you can say, oh, there's this thing that used to really annoy me. Those of you who know me know that I was married to this wonderful man of God like years ago, and we used to have our congregants write down their prayer requests, and a lot of them had financial problems. And although we used to pray with them, we also used to suggest some ways and means that they could go through about it, but their reluctance is like, oh, you know, when you say, man of God, you know, you can plan, but only God can show the way. If you, no, that's not the issue. The issue is you have to have this these kind of things that you want. If you don't know concretely what you're trying to do with your life, when the opportunity comes, you will not be able to see it. So with this double focus ideas, I would like for us to just write down what we think we need to do in 5 years time, in 10 years time. If we want to start a business back home, what kind of business are we interested in? Where are the, you know, go back home, because you have a situation where someone thinks they want to start a business back home, they haven't even gone to see what's going on back home. So with the double focus, and if you want to stay abroad, then you have to decide, okay, I want to stay abroad. Perhaps maybe I'm living in Germany or in Denmark. What do I need to do to get a better life here? Okay, I want to learn the language. I have to learn the language. I have to do an Ausbildung on a training here. Okay, my qualification back home doesn't really work, so I'm going to have to do a new qualification here. Just have a focus. You know, don't say, okay, if. No, the if is not, no, doesn't make any sense. You have to rein in that double focus. The next thing I noticed, and it's a really big problem with Africans here, is the looking back. Okay, so you decided you wanted to do a business, someone cheated you, someone did something to you, someone said something to you, so because of that, you're not interested in doing anything back home. That's fine. But then looking back, or even, I'm not even looking back all the time, you know, anytime a new opportunity comes, you just look back on the mistakes you made and what happened and how it went down terribly and all those things. No, that looking back stunts your vision. It doesn't allow you. You're always looking back with bitterness. Okay, someone tricked you in the land matter or something like that. That looking back, oh, you know, there was a connection, by now I would have gotten my papers. No. It's important for you to face forward. That looking back really leaves you in a stagnated financial state where you're not pressing forward towards your future, and you're just looking back. The next thing I wanted to talk about is not planning. If you decide that you want to live abroad, if you decide that you want to live back home, if you decide, fortune favors the prepared, you have to plan. And this goes back to the double focus. I know a lot of people who have never put a budget down, who've never written down what they want to do in 5 years. I know people who haven't written down what they want to do in 10 years. They don't have their hopes and their dreams down. All these non-planning. If you don't sit down once every 6 months, once a month, once a year to say, okay, this coming year, this is what I would like to achieve, or in the next 4 or 5 years, this is what I would like to achieve. Not planning for how you see yourself, how you see your future, whatever business that you want to do, whatever the reason that you came, planning towards your papers, not planning, not organizing, not budgeting, not really looking at what you want, not planning at all. That is deadly. That is dangerous. That is the main reason for financial stagnation. Because if you have not planned what you want to do with your future, if you have not planned what you think you can, if you have not planned your retirement, if you have not, that's if you haven't really sat down to plan and know the logistics, then you're looking for trouble. The next thing I wanted to talk about was our belief in connection. You know, we come from a background where we believe in connection. Oh, sorry, the heat. I just had to pause. So we come from a background where we believe in connection. We believe in okay, that I remember someone was thinking about doing a business back home, and he was working a 9-to-5 job, and I said to him, okay, so what do you have in mind? It's like, yeah, you know, unless like connection be pre, that's in tree, unless someone connects me to a business that's really going, you know, then before I'm able to know what I'm doing. No, it's not about connection. It's not about anybody connecting you to the job. That mindset of connection, once you move into Europe, you have to leave that mind. I know a lady who was going with another lady. The lady said, oh, I can connect you to get your papers. No, you know the rules and the regulations concerning getting your documentations and everything. Try your luck there. It's nothing like connection, because that belief in connection, it's if there is actually a connection, it's a 1 in 100. So why would you place a 1 in a 1,000? So why would you place your bet on a 1 in 1,000 thing when there's a sure way and a sure thing? And why don't you plan towards the sure thing? So let's put aside that our belief in connection. Oh, you know, this person was working with somebody, and the person was a paint exporter, and then he showed him the connection for paint exportation, and that was how he went to Ghana and he broke through. No, let's keep on our belief in hard work and planning, and put aside the belief in connection, because the belief in connection, oh, be to me, somebody will connect me to some huge money, then I'll be able to get some loan. That belief in connection, let's put it aside. Let's believe in planning and what we decide that we can do for our future. That should be our key focus. The next thing I wanted to talk about that really is a reason for financial stagnation, and I talk about this a lot on my channel, and that's debt. Having so much debt that you cannot even see your way through, you know. So getting a program, one program that really helped me was someone that really helped was Dave Ramsey. Get into a program, go, YouTube is your friend, read about debt, how to solve your debt problem. You can also watch my video on avoiding debt. You can look at ways to save and then really get rid of the debt slowly by slowly pay. I'm going to talk about dealing with debt and how to solve your debt problems. Slowly pay off your debt and free yourself from this prison of debt. The next thing I want to talk about, and it's so important to me, and that is the fear. You know, that financial stagnation most of the time is caused by fear. We're always so afraid of what we can do in our lives, what we can do in our future. We're just afraid. We may have tried it before and it hasn't worked. We've done so many things. That fear, I know someone who's lived here for 30 years and he hasn't gotten his papers because he was too afraid. He had never been stopped by the police, and he was too afraid to go ahead and process it. So for 30 years he's never gone to Ghana. He wants to go, but he's afraid, you know. So that fear, the Bible says in Haggai 2:5, it says, my spirit remains in your midst, fear not. So that's something, if you know that the Spirit of God, and fear is really amongst a lot of Christians. We have fear of witches, we have fear of so many things. But if you fear so much, then who is your God? Your God that told you to fear, who not to fear? Who is your God? You know, if you're believing that, okay, if you start a business back home, or if you go ahead and you build that house there, or this, you're going to die immediately, then who is your God? The God that told you to not to fear, who is he? You know, so that spirit of fear, it limits your vision, it limits what you think is possible for yourself, and that causes financial stagnation. So I would like for us to take out fear out of the equation. Read and listen to YouTube is your friend. Like I said, Google is your friend. Read, listen, acquire the knowledge. With knowledge defeats fear all the time. Acquire the knowledge, acquire inspiration, and then you will be able to sort out the whole fear aspect. It's just because you're afraid doesn't mean it must stop you. The whole idea of coming is to have a better life. You were afraid of having a bad life. That's why you did not stay back home. So the whole idea was to have a better life. So this fear factor, this fear matter, you have to see to it that you know who your God is, and the God that told you not to fear, and be able to move. It says, I think it is in the book of, I don't remember, I think Hebrews, where it says, so we can confidently say that if God is for us, we're not afraid of what man can do to us. So if you know that you serve a living God, then that fear, you should be able. It's okay to have fear, but that fear should not cripple you in such a way that you're not able to move on. You're not able. Some people are even afraid to put down their hopes and wishes because they're afraid that there's a witch floating in the air that will be able. No, that fear does not allow you to plan, because hey, what kind of baby? That fear is so powerful, you know, and it stops a lot of us from really reaching our goals. And I know that sometimes you're depressed, you're sad, you've gone through a lot of things. So it takes a lot to be able to kill that fear. I would suggest that you get a mentor, a coach, someone that's able to mentor you, coach you through these things. You call the person, and then you're able to, and this taps into my next point I'm going to raise, which is my last point. You tap into someone who's positive, someone who understands these things, someone who inspires you, someone who encourages you, and then you listen to the word of God. T.D. Jakes, I love him. He's pure inspiration, full for inspiration. There's so many other inspirational speakers that I'm going to put on, and you get that out of your system, and you push and you persevere forward. The next thing I want to talk about is the most important thing, and that is the negative company. We always talk about these crabs that push you down when you're coming forward and all those things. I think that most of the time when I've been sidetracked here in Germany is as a result of having negative company, negative friends, negative people around me. And I'm somebody, I absorb great things, but the way I absorb, I'm an open sponge, and the way I absorb, if you pour anything into me, if you pour into me, my spirit just absorbs it. So the way I absorb positivity is also the way I absorb negativity, and I'm working on that. So if I have negative friends, people who are not moving forward, people who don't have anything positive to say, then I become a clone of them. I used to be a bit of a people pleaser. I become a clone of them, always trying to, you know, make them happy, and then I clone their bad behavior, and before you know it, I just become that kind of person. So when you look at the friends in your midst, when you look at what they're doing with their lives, when you look at what you are doing in your life, you have to set your record straight. So there's some people that come into your life and they're only for a season and a reason, and keeping them there is actually stopping you from reaching your goal. There's something, I was speaking to my friend the other day, and we're talking about, it's a satanic distraction to have negative friends. The Bible talks about, it says in Romans 14:19, it says, let us therefore pursue that which brings us peace. So if you're with someone as a friend and they don't give you enough peace of mind, the peace of mind, the joy is not there, then you have to think twice. That peace, that, you know, that comes from being in a positive place. It says in 14:19, and pursuing that which will bring about mutual edification. Mutual edification means building up. So if you're in a situation where you have friends that they're not, because these bad manners, they corrupt good manners. If you have a situation where you're roaming with negative people, as soon as you tell them your dreams and hopes, hey, we're there and we're killed, hey, this will not work, hey, I know, they always know somebody who tried what you were trying to try and they failed, you know, and then you later on you find they're trying the same thing. Listen, negative company is the biggest reason for financial stagnation amongst us Africans abroad. So if you're an African abroad, I've talked about these things, look them up, try and work on them. I've talked about double focus you can sort out by planning and then knowing where you want to be. Looking back, always looking at regrets. Looking back, the other thing I wanted to say, I think it was Oprah I was listening to or something, and she says, you know, failure is God trying to tell you, say, hey, my friend, you're moving in the right direction. Egal what happened or egal how the failure came about, whether it's a broken marriage, whether it's frustration in business, no matter what it is, you know, that's going to cause your financial stagnation. If you view your failures as God trying to tell you, my friend, you're moving in the wrong direction, and it's moving, every failure is moving you towards the right direction, then you're not going to look back and be regretful, because those things also lead to depression. Not planning, I talked about not planning, how it's important to budget, it's important to see how to have vision boards. Vision boards are actual pictures of where you want your life to be. I've also talked about that belief in connection, always thinking that there's a connection. I've also talked about that belief in connection. You have to just change it, because do as the Romans do. You're in a new place, have a new mindset. I've talked about debt. We're going to talk about that most in-depthly. I've talked about fear, and I've talked about negative company, and we've all talked about the solutions. YouTube is your friend when it comes to negative company. Even if you sit down and you realize that all your friends are, you know, and you're a new person now, go on YouTube, seek inspiration. And I believe that these reasons for financial stagnation and their solutions that I've talked about will be able to help someone. If you like this video, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Thank you.